All right, man, peace. So right before the NBA regular season started, of course, they had the NBA Media Day. And Kawhi Leonard set himself apart from many of the other superstars all across the NBA with an interview that he had in which he ended it with what some may deem to be a very strange laugh. Well, of course, it made the rounds. I even did a video about it because it was funny. But it's also very obvious to me that the media, they're having a very hard time dealing with Kawhi Leonard as a person because he's not what they're accustomed to dealing with in regards to transparency. See, when people have a hard time understanding what makes you tick, what motivates you, they try to nitpick you until they can get you to lose your composure. Anything to find out in some way what your psychological profile is. But because Kawhi Leonard is so reticent oftentimes to reveal what makes him tick and who he is as a person, the media is at a conundrum. Well, they recently spoke with Kawhi Leonard in regards to how the mass media projected the image of him laughing, and he had a very, very powerful response. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
I want to play some pregame sound from Kawhi Leonard. He was discussing his now famous laugh at Raptors Media Day. Check it out.
No, but then again, I don't really know what people were thinking, because I don't have social media and I don't read what people say. It's not surprising when you have this high caliber player. People tend to look at everything, so it's not for the territory.
Now, brother, did you hear that? The first thing that stood out to me in regards to Kawhi Leonard's response was his statement that he does not have social media. And I stated this a long time ago. This is why they get frustrated with Kawhi, and it's also why they love LeBron James and many of these other NBA players, because they have Twitter, they have Snapchat, they have Instagram. And basically all social media is a methodology to get the average person in this society to conform to being tracked, to revealing who they are, so that many of the major corporations and governments can ascertain how to manipulate people. That's why your shopping habits are open for evaluation by many corporations. You go to certain websites and all of a sudden certain shoes or certain jackets or hats that you might be interested in, they pop up. Because that's what social media is about. They want to learn how people think, what they think, so that they can be manipulated. So because Kawhi Leonard does not particularly subscribe to that form of global socializing, it makes him very difficult to understand that right now we're in the era where everybody wants everyone to be transparent, especially men. This society wants men to be fully transparent. They want men to lead with their emotions like women do. And Kawhi Leonard is not doing that, but he also stated that when he's of the caliber of player that he is, that comes with the territory. People are going to try to criticize him. They're going to try to nitpick him. So Kawhi, he's not someone who looks at himself as a system player or a role player. He views himself as a superstar. And he's not going to allow many of the meanderings of the media or regular fans to change who he is as a person. That's how you know the reason why he wanted to leave San Antonio was because he felt like they were trying to control him, they were trying to manipulate him, and they underestimated who he was as a person and how strong his character was.
Kawhi following those comments up by dropping 17 points in 18 minutes against the Jazz. I mean, Kawhi's going to get the last laugh here, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, come on, this summer he's going to be laughing to the bank. So, of course, when he signs that $180 or $200 million contract, he'll always get the last laugh.
I'm just really excited for the season to start because, I mean, ultimately he'll get the last laugh if he is celebrating in a locker room, either in Philly or Boston, having won an Eastern Conference title. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to speculate, and there's going to be all this static around trade deadline. If he's not going to stay, do they trade him so they can get value from him? But
let me say this very quickly. Kawhi Leonard is the type of person who does not care that he could lose money if he does not come back to the Toronto Raptors. $2.5 million, a little bit over $2.5 million is negligible to him per year, because he's someone who seems to live within his means. He's not out trying to prove to other people that he has a lot, and he seems like someone who knows that you have to project different images for different demographics. In other words, you cannot let everyone fully know who you are as a person. You have to save a little bit for yourself and for the people who are important to you. like Alonzo Harris stated in training day, you have to make sure that you preserve your smiles and your cries. In other words, you can't just live your life so transparently for everyone, like so many of these modern day professional athletes seem to believe that they can do, and then get frustrated when the media turns on them.
But at the end of the day, the laugh is going to come Memorial Day weekend or there soon thereafter when the Eastern Conference title is. This guy elevates that team to the finals. Yeah, laugh all day.
I mean,
Finals, so you got them going to the finals?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that is.
The Toronto Raptors could get to the finals. It would not shock me. It would not shock me if they get to the finals. Once again, the Boston Celtics, they seem to be a team that suffers from having too much talent and too many good players and not enough real alphas. Of course, Kyrie is an alpha. But can you really win an NBA championship with your best player being a 6'1.5" point guard who oftentimes likes to go one-on-one? I mean, can they do it? We'll see.
It's the standard of laughter.
Okay.
Like everything else is a cry. Like laugh is Toronto opens on May 30th in San Francisco or Houston or wherever.
right. I mean, I don't think there's any question that's what Masai Ujiri is going for, right? That this trade, this sort of knock out of the ballpark for like, okay, we're going for it with Kawhi and trading.
Once again, as of right now, my pick is the Boston Celtics, but if the Toronto Raptors were to defeat them in the Eastern Conference Finals or even the Eastern Conference Semis, whenever and wherever they match up, it would not shock me at all. Because I think that the Raptors match up very, very well with them, especially defensively. The Toronto Raptors can guard Boston because they have a lot of young, long players who are going to be able to keep up with the Jason Tatums and the Jaylen Browns. And of course, you have Kawhi. They're going to have the best player in that series, assuming that he's healthy. Kawhi Leonard will be the best player in that series because he's even more impactful than Kyrie. The question is going to be, how proficient and efficient will Kawhi Leonard be on offense, and how much help will he get on the offensive end? That's truly the only test to me, because Boston has better talent than Toronto from top to bottom, but it's not by much. Well, I mean, we'll see. I think that Al Horford and Serge Ibaka is closer than many people might think. And in regards to Kyle Lowry versus Kyrie, of course Kyrie has the edge as an overall player, but Kyle Lowry can score on Kyrie because Kyrie is not a good defensive player. He's just not. So it's going to come down to that matchup or that comparison of Kawhi Leonard and Siakam and a lot of those other players that they have on the perimeter, and how much they're able to outplay Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward and Jaylen Brown. And also who outcoaches who. I'm not quite sure how good of a coach Nick Nurse is right now, so we'll see. And of course, Brad Stevens, he's pretty much starting to be recognized as, if not the best coach in the NBA, top 2 or 3.
And trading DeMar and sort of realizing he is a possibly one-year rental. I don't think they are going to maybe look to trade. Even if Kawhi doesn't give them any assurance he's going to stay this summer, I can't see them looking to deal him around. We know it's possibly one-year rental. Let's get him into May. Let's win with him. And as you say, if we do get to the finals, which is certainly what they want to be doing, they kind of feel like, how do you walk away from that if you're Kawhi Leonard?
I agree. If the Toronto Raptors get to the finals, I'm not quite sure if Kawhi is going to be able to walk away from that, but you never know. Once again, he is his own person. But worst comes to worst, if you're Masai Ujiri and the Toronto Raptors, if Kawhi decides to walk, that means that you go through a rebuild. You trade Kyle Lowry, you probably trade Serge Ibaka, and you start from scratch.
And they're
That's their sales.
They're also going to be 20 games over 500 in February. So
Yeah, they're going for so similar to what OKC did with Paul George. They're going to take a chance. We're going to put all our eggs in our basket. Hopefully we play well enough to keep him. So it's a good gamble. I mean, if things don't go well, Kawhi tends to go somewhere else, then they can put themselves in a position to possibly rebuild. You got Kyle Lowry, his contract is going to be done soon, and then you start all over. Because when you lose that caliber player, all-star, then where do you go from there?
Obviously, then you got to hit an accelerated rebuild. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what he can do for offense. And I hope that he sees the fun in all the sort of joking around about his laugh, because to me, if he leans into it, which he kind of was in that clip, I mean, the NBA community has shown that we love people who get the joke.
come out of the monastery.
Right, but at the end of the day, I don't think that Kawhi Leonard cares enough to go along with the joke. I think that he's focused on being as successful as he can be. Once again, it's very obvious that the super liberal NBA media, the overall liberal sports media, they get frustrated with this dude because he doesn't quote unquote play along, or as they say in the corporate world, he doesn't quote unquote get it. He's not somebody like a Steph Curry or a LeBron James who's going to make a bunch of disingenuous statements so that he can appeal to a higher corporate understanding. He's not going to do things so that he can amplify his corporate brand. And that's what's upsetting about him to many of the members of the mainstream liberal sports media.
Hysterical.
Right? Right? We love people who get the joke. Everyone wants you to be laughing with us, and you can, God, man, you can make a...
Well, maybe he does not think that what you're saying about his laugh is funny. Why should he be fake about it?
Can make a lot of money off of t-shirts, and anyway. All right, up next.
I think that's the last thing that he's concerned about. But anyway, good luck to Mr. Kawhi Leonard. Peace.